Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Rana Gujral on the line, and he is CEO over at Behavioral Signals. Rana, welcome to the show.
Adam, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, man. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about leveraging advanced voice AI engines. I know a lot of my listeners, big tech crowd in Mountain View and otherwise, people are interested in this, and I'm excited to get your take on what you guys are doing over there. But before we do, I want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Behavioral Signals. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Absolutely. So human communication is a complex process. And it depends not just on the words being spoken, but very much so on how they're expressed. What we do at Behavioral Signals is we excel at distinguishing very specific signals in speech data, and we use a proprietary deep tech to do that. We capture acoustic cues, intonations, and other interaction signals, and we discover emotions, behaviors, and even intent. And then we apply that into a variety of very high-powered use cases that we bring to market, ranging from monitoring engagement, monitoring satisfaction, profile pairing based on behavioral analysis, real-time sales enablement, and predicting intent.
So at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave, a website or contact information so that people that want to learn more about behavioral signals can, but just so that the right type of companies and or individuals connect. I mean, what are typically like good niches, or who's usually a good fit to work with behavioral signals?
Yeah, essentially any company that has the need to interact with its customer, which is essentially any company.
I was just going to say that's a lot of companies.
Yeah, I was being facetious there.
Yeah.
And so essentially, we power.
But you work with small companies. You work with only enterprise. I mean, give us a feel for that. That's what I mean.
We tend to largely work with enterprise companies, and we tend to have our product manifest itself in their contact centers. That being said, we built some very advanced products for the financial sector, for banks and collection houses. So we certainly have a slightly more of emphasis towards those sectors over the say retail or telco. But really, essentially, most enterprise companies can really tremendously benefit from our capabilities.
That's awesome. So that's a good transition too. So let's just jump right in. So leveraging advanced voice AI engines. I mean, where do you want to start with this one? It's a big topic.
Yeah. So first off, you'd have to sort of understand how we're different from the rest of what you see in the NLP landscape. So the traditional NLP, or natural language processing, tends to largely focus on what is being said. And we introduce the ability to understand how something is being said in addition to the what part. And that is what makes us really different. So for example, when you talk about leveraging voice AI and the ability for our engines to predict intent by distinguishing pitch and tonal variance from audio instead of words being spoken, makes data exceptionally rich and our use cases vastly more applicable across industries. So for example, we have an advanced use case such as behavioral profile pairing. That is possible without ever converting the audio to text. And that is really the big difference between what we offer and what you see out there in the NLP spectrum. And we tend to sort of think of ourselves as a new age NLP that goes behind the words, or what I like to call the unsaid, which is the words are important, but a lot more important than words is how those words are spoken. And in fact, we tend to focus just on that. A lot of our use cases focus purely on how something is being said without ever even queuing off on the words, or for that matter, from a technical perspective, taking the audio and converting that into text and parsing the text for meaning, which is typically how the majority of the NLP landscape is built.
And so what is, I know you have a couple of things that you've been recognized for recently, so I want to get into these a little bit more. So you got a couple. You've been working with financial institutions.
Yeah.
I know you have a case study coming out that Gartner's publishing. There's another one too. I can't keep track of you guys, Rana. You got a lot going on. Tell us a little bit more about this work and kind of how this has come about, because I think this is really exciting stuff you're doing.
Yeah, let me take an example of sort of how our technology actually makes a difference, right? So we recently deployed our capability with an EU-based bank, and where we really leveraged our capabilities towards improving the conversations between debt holder and debt collectors. And so when they implemented our very advanced behavioral profile pairing engine, that essentially works like this. It analyzes recent interactions between the agent and client, and then based on the tonality, which is purely based on the pitch and tonal variance, ignoring the actual conversation or the words being spoken, we're able to create very, very accurate profiles of the participants. And in this case, the participants is the agent and the customer. And then based on those profiles, we're able to match the right agent with the right customer. So what happened when we did that? So in this particular situation, we saw a 20% improvement in actual collection outcomes with 7.5% fewer calls. And in absolute numbers, it's essentially for this bank, it's $1.5 million per year per agent upside, or a $300 million annual upside. And so it's essentially, really completely changes the game. And so now you'd say, look, I can understand the concept that if you have a wavelength connection, like so if you're having an important business discussion and we're leading towards an outcome. Now, if I'm having that conversation with someone who I connect with on some visceral level, maybe because I just like that person, or maybe it's that we're on the same wavelength, or maybe they're able to deal with my idiosyncrasies better. Like say I'm really upset, but they're not just being polite, but they're also being firm, which is what I want. It's like, typically if you have a very angry customer calling in, you just don't want a very soft-spoken agent to be on the other side. You need someone with a lot of patience, but you also need someone who has the ability to push back, be firm, and bring the client down to a point where you can actually, get some business done. And so it's complex. And so lots at stake in a conversation such as that. And if you're paired with the right person, magic can happen. So for us, we make that magic happen, but the way we make that magic happen is super special because we tend to create profiles and use that for matching that are purely, entirely based on understanding of the acoustic elements of the interaction. And that is that is like nothing else in the market today because, typically the agent-client matching is done by parsing tremendous amount of very private, very confidential data, such as who the person is, their credit scores, how much debt they have, et cetera, and is a no-go from an ability for a financial institution to use such capabilities or such systems. And for us, because we don't convert the audio into text, you don't have to deal with text. You don't have to deal with the private information. And so that's just one of the examples of how a very powerful emotion engine or a behavioral engine that we have built can solve very complex use cases. And in this particular example, with debt collection, and that's being published by Gartner. It actually got published by Gartner last week, and so we're going to be announcing that in a big way sometime this week, and we're really excited about that. So thanks for that mention, Adam. And I can go on and on. There are a variety of other use cases that we apply that capability towards.
Man, this is exciting stuff. Mind blown, by the way. So you're doing it by voice and the acoustics of it. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, so it is possible. Maybe we can outsource me podcasting. I'm just playing. My team's like, no, that's not happening. You're getting on there. We're not working with it.
No,
okay.
we
got you.
I think it's safe to assume we still need you for now.
Oh, I don't, but you're right for a little bit. So behavioral signals figures it out. So that being said, Rana, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about behavioral signals and to follow the brand and see how maybe you may be able to solve some problems for them, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect with your brand?
Yeah, see, the best way would be to go visit our webpage. It will really help you understand what problems we solve at behavioralsignals.com. And you could contact us through the contact page. Tell us how you'd like to work with us and partner with us, or maybe just leverage our technology. We do work with a lot of research institutions and universities, and really even sort of oftentimes, help them use the technology for free if it's for a nonprofit cause. And so we're really, foremost, we're a very deep tech research oriented organization. And there are commercial use cases that we go after, but for the most part, we are focused on science, and that's our first love.
That's awesome. Well, Rana, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, all the great stuff you're doing. Really, I mean, it's just some great work. And congrats again for being published. So that's a big deal to get that to be recognized for any company, but it's a big deal where you're being published. So congrats there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I'd love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Rana, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. It's been a real pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much for the invite.